The Navy SEAL veteran who founded the Blackwater security firm says the president's instincts on leaving Syria are correct. But he believes the key to staying out of Syria is by helping the Kurds fund their own security. One America's Neil W. McCabe has more.
Erik Prince is one of the leading out-of-the-box military thinkers to emerge since the September 11th attacks. He told One America News that President Donald Trump's decision to redeploy U.S. forces out of northeast Syria was a sound call. But America must help the Kurds leverage their resources so that they can afford to secure their own territory.
The President's instincts are right on withdrawing some of these permanent war U.S. commitments. He's right on that. But he's not getting very good advice because no one's giving him practical solutions to maintain actual or at least moral commitments that the U.S. has to help protect our allies, but not having to always use U.S. forces.
Even after they pull out of the buffer zone Turkey has demanded, the Syrian Kurds are still sitting on top of tremendous oil reserves that would be enough to sustain a private economy and generate the revenues necessary to pay for their own defense, he said.
The reality is there's very much a hybrid approach all the supposed smart people in the Beltway seem to ignore. Yeah, the fact is the Kurds are sitting on what used to be 400,000 barrels a day of oil production in the Deir ez-Zor area. That oil can be moved to markets in at least two different directions and sold.
Right now, the Syrian Kurds do not have robust combat arms necessary to confront a modern army, such as Turkey's, Prince said.
The Syrian Kurds have around 50,000 personnel, but it's all light infantry. Nothing really heavier than a heavy machine gun. That's not going to defend them or deter a large armored force, whether it's from Turkey or Iran or from Iran-controlled Iraq.
If the Syrian Kurds hired private contractors to plus up their formations, they would instantly have a sufficient deterrent to defend themselves and convince the Turks that they have control of their territory, Prince said.
Have a hybrid peacekeeping model of Kurdish forces providing the infantry with contracted professionals manning and managing the heavier weapons could provide a deterrent force that would supplant the U.S. forces that are there and make it possible for the U.S. forces to leave. So a self-funding force through oil sales, hiring international professional contractors that would stand side to side with the Kurdish forces and act as a deterrent force. A bond, basically one tranche of funding that would be less than what the U.S. is spending in Syria in a month, would more than cover the startup and the repairs of the oil infrastructure and the security, the defensive security capability needed to deter any outside aggression.
When he left the Navy, he founded Blackwater to address the gaps he saw in American military training and operations, saying that his Blackwater was to the Pentagon what Federal Express was to the post office. Prince said that his solution for the Kurd situation in Syria draws on both his military and private experience, and that the Kurds could borrow money in the capital markets to set up their defensive infrastructure, not relying on American aid.
It will, no kidding, defend in a permanent way the Syrians, the Kurds, the Yazidis, the Christians that are there, and it helps build out their economy and provide a lot of employment to a lot of people.
Prince said the specific model for his proposal is taken straight from President Franklin Roosevelt in his effort to help the Chinese nationalists against the Japanese before World War II.
This is exactly what Roosevelt did to defend nationalist China in the late 30s, was getting bombed like crazy by the Japanese, but America wasn't involved in the war then. You didn't want a U.S. foreign involvement. So we allowed contracted forces, U.S. personnel, Army, Navy, Marine pilots to take leave of their jobs and go to work for a private company flying American equipment and shooting down Japanese Zeros over China, called the Flying Tigers, one of the most successful and legendary squadrons of World War II.
In the end, Prince said, if Turkey sees the Syrian-Kurd territory as a commercial state and trading power, not a military threat, there will be peace, because people trading oil do not trade lead. Neil W. McCabe, One America News, Washington.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.